Welcome to Mythbusted, a series I made up just for the sake of this video. So I made a video a little while back called Investigating the Madden Curse, where I went through evidence, some real, some made up by me, that supports the idea that there is some kind of curse attached to players that appear on the cover of Madden. Now the video was a satirical take on the whole thing, and the majority of people got that, but it still slipped by some people despite the overly dramatic, suspenseful music in the background. So, to highlight the light-hearted nature of this following video, I thought I'd use music that represents that, in the hopes that we can avoid any more confusion. So what I thought I'd do in this video is go through some of the statements I made and myth bust them. Luckily, a lot of people already left comments to help me bust some of the things I said, so I'll include them when appropriate. So anyway, let's begin. For years, the NFL, NFLPA, and EA Sports have denied the validity of this curse. Busted. This couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, this isn't even on the radar of these organizations. I'm pretty sure executives in the NFL and NFLPA haven't even heard of the Madden curse. Come on.
What's up guys, it's me Roger.
Busted. That's not even Roger Goodell. I know I did an amazing impression of him, but if you look really closely you'll see this is actually footage from this year's draft. As a matter of fact, to clear all of this up, I reached out to Roger Goodell and he sent me this to play for you guys.
I am Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL. I am here to say I enjoyed Beardmohbox's video. It was funny and he did a great impression of me at the beginning. How people managed to watch past that without realizing it was a joke I don't understand. Anyway, good job, Beard. See you at the next Illuminati meeting.
You know, he raises a very valid point. How did people watch that and still think I was genuinely trying to convince people with some of the things I said? I went to Roger Goodell for a statement, but I am yet to hear a reply. They wouldn't give me his phone number and he isn't responding to his emails. Busted. Of course I never tried to email Roger Goodell, and even if I were to try, I don't think I'd send the email to roger.goodell@nfl.com. This could be down to the fact that many people believe Mr. Goodell personally targets players with the curse. Busted. Nobody, and I mean nobody, has ever said that apart from me just then. It is a funny coincidence that a Patriot ended up on the cover, but even with that, I don't think anybody will ever say that and actually mean it. There have been 17 iterations of the game released under EA Sports. That's 17 targets. Busted. See, this one's my fault, as I wasn't clear enough. The first Madden came out in 1988, and there's been well over 17. 17 is the number of different people on the cover, as Madden was on every cover, until after Madden 2000. The first cover star was John Madden himself, and he died the day the game was released. Busted. Now of course I busted this one in the video, but at least one person actually thought Madden was dead, so to dispel that myth I gave John a quick call on Skype.
Hello everyone, it is me, John Madden. I am not dead, I was never dead, I am alive, and living with Beardmohbox for now until I get back on my feet. Times have been hard since they started putting players on the cover of Madden games. Those royalty checks made up like 90% of my income. Now I sleep in a bunk bed with Beardmohbox. I guess it could be worse though. I could have been affected by the curse, and at least we no longer share a single bed.
Okay, so you might be thinking, why did I call him on Skype if we live together? Well, that's because he was deep-sea fishing off the coast of Florida at the time. And with all that covered, let's move on to the players. Eddie George really did just decline after appearing on the cover. His per-carry average sunk to career lows, his season yards never looked as good again, and he wasn't that old for a running back at the time. Dante Culpepper had plenty of good seasons after appearing on the cover, but wasn't able to beat the injury bug later on in his career. That's a story we've seen 1,000 times. By the time Marshall Faulk was on the cover, he'd already played 8 NFL seasons, winning Offensive Player of the Year 3 times in a row. That kind of production puts a huge strain on you physically, with the combination of Faulk's typical season only being 14 games long and less because of his durability, and the fact that Kurt Warner left shortly after that too, it's no surprise he declined, and he was already outliving the average running back anyway. Vic has always had injury problems and no curse made him get into dogfighting, but he did manage to turn himself around afterwards, which you have to at least give him some credit for. Ray Lewis made the cover after recording 161 tackles and 6 interceptions. The next year he had 146 tackles, but no interceptions. Ha 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 ha, the curse wins! Busted. The fact that anybody thought this was serious still confuses me to this day. I mean really, when's the last time you heard someone doing an actual evil laugh outside of a Disney film? But a big shout out to this guy for literally explaining my joke back to me. Donovan McNabb, like any mobile quarterback, had durability issues his entire career. After being on the cover, his interceptions never got much worse and were always admirably low until his year with the Redskins. Shaun Alexander is the poster boy of the Madden curse, but his decline is very easy to explain. For 6 years in a row, he played in all 16 games. Then after 370 touches and 1,800 yards, it's no surprise his body started to give out on him, limiting him to a maximum of 10 starts in the next 3 years. Vince Young wasn't hit by a curse, he was never that good. He won Offensive Rookie of the Year despite his season being average at best, and in 2009 he won Comeback Player of the Year after playing 12 games, passing for 1,800 yards and 10 touchdowns. He then bestowed upon the Eagles the unwanted title of the Dream Team. The only mystery surrounding Young is how he won those 2 awards. Brett Favre was 39 when he went to the Jets. That's how old Peyton Manning was last season, and we all know what he looked like. Then at the ripe age of 40, he passed for 4,200 yards and 33 touchdowns. Troy Polamalu was injured the next season, and Larry Fitzgerald had to wait a long time before ever seeing a real quarterback again, following Warner's retirement after 2009. However, I wanted to make a joke about 2 players being on the cover. Turns out the guy I chose to illustrate my joke had a stroke a few years ago. Had I known that, I probably wouldn't have used him. I don't feel bad about it because I didn't say anything ill-wishing about him, but I still wouldn't have picked him if I had known that at the time. I never even tried to say anything for Drew Brees. He's just a great guy. No matter who's out there catching his passes, he's one of the most productive quarterbacks year on year. Over the last 6 years, he's led the league in yards 4 times and was second and third the other 2 times. Peyton Hillis shouldn't have been on the cover to begin with. He was 11th in the league in yards, 6th in touchdowns, and led the league in fumbles. His curse was being put into the spotlight where he failed to follow up his career season. Calvin Johnson played at an insanely high level until he retired. People mentioned how he even played through injury, showing that nothing was going to stop this guy. Adrian Peterson's only issues were personal, Richard Sherman had no decline in his play, and Odell Beckham Jr. hasn't declined either. The last few years should have shut down any legitimate speculation. The only problem now is that Rob Gronkowski has a history of injuries, meaning he's statistically more likely to get injured anyway, and that would of course add more fuel to the fire. I have come to a conclusion that this curse will only be lifted when the Washington Redskins change their name, as I have identified this curse to be a Native American one. Busted! I can't believe some people interpreted this as a shot at the Redskins. Not that I need to explain, but obviously just like the rest of the video being a joke, this was too. So the other video showed that if you reach far enough, you can argue everyone was affected negatively after appearing on the Madden cover. This video was supposed to show you that you can easily find a logical reason for every player's decline if there even was one. It was also a way for me to address some of the more common things that came up from people that didn't quite understand the point of the video.